Welcome to Permission to Thrive. I'm your host, Suzi Lula. As a spiritual therapist for over 20 years, I have the honor and privilege of ushering women and mothers just like you on a journey from simply surviving to powerfully thriving. I also have the honor of raising our son, Will, who is now a young adult, with my longtime partner, Jamie, so I'm right there on the journey with you. Consider this your personal sanctuary, your space to meet your heart, embrace your messy, and come home to your most authentic, extraordinary self. My hope is that you leave resourced and inspired because you are here to shine. Welcome to Permission to Thrive. Welcome everyone to Permission to Thrive this week. I hope that you all enjoyed last week's episode about creating a holiday season that is true and reflective of your heart, true to you. And if you haven't heard it yet, you might want to go back and listen to it because it's leading us into this week's episode that I'm so excited about, which is around transforming martyrdom and moving from martyrdom to magic. This time of year can be such a time of year, especially for mothers, where we move in unconsciously, unintentionally into a space and experience of martyrdom. And so whether you're listening during this holiday time of year or whether you're listening later, transforming martyrdom is one of the most powerful energies that we can transform in our lives, especially as women, especially as mothers. We have been culturally indoctrinated over generations to martyr ourselves. And so this episode is going to be a deep dive into exactly what martyrdom is, how to transform it, and how to move from a martyred state to a magical, mystical state of consciousness, which is what this holiday season is all about, and which is what our life is meant to be. Our life is not meant to be lived in a martyred way. Our life is meant to be lived in a magical, mystical consciousness. So sit back, relax, receive, and enjoy. If you are listening in real time and you want to take a deeper dive into creating the holiday season of your dreams, of your heart that is reflective of being true to yourself, I'm going to be teaching a free Soul Care Masterclass on Friday, December 15th. The link is in the show notes. Replays will be sent even if you can't make it live. So look up all the information, sign up. It is free. We are going to be taking a deep dive into setting intentions, into visioning, into creating a holiday season that is reflective of who you are, the holiday season that you are here to experience, a clearing for the end of the year, and a visioning for bringing in the new year. So that is December 15th, 11 a.m. Pacific time. Sign up on the link in the show notes, and you will be sent a replay if you can't make it live and to listen to over and over during the holiday season. So martyrdom, let's go into martyrdom. It is so easy for women, and especially mothers, and especially at this time of year, to move into martyrdom, even though it is the last thing that we want to be experiencing during this time of year. It is literally the experience of martyrdom that had me write my book, The Motherhood Evolution, How Thriving Mothers Raise Thriving Children, because I myself, when Will was young, unconsciously, unintentionally, out of my own cultural and familial indoctrination, moved into an experience of martyrdom. I was martyring myself and simultaneously trying to be the mom that I really wanted to be to Will. And one cannot martyr themselves and be a flourishing, thriving mom or woman at the same time. So that is literally why I wrote my book. And if any of you who are listening, watching, are experiencing yourself in a martyred state, please look up my book on Amazon, Motherhood Evolution, How Thriving Mothers Raise Thriving Children, or you can get it through my website. I'll put it in the show notes. But it will literally give you a roadmap to take yourself from a martyred state to a state of magic and mysticism and freedom and liberation. So what is a martyr in the first place? What is the actual definition of martyrdom? One who gives to their own detriment is a martyr. One who gives to your own detriment, an over-giver to your own detriment. When you are giving to your own detriment, meaning that you are trying to fill someone else's tank, you are trying to give to someone else's tank when your own tank is empty. You are then living in a consciousness of lack. You are in your own lack, but trying to give someone else the experience of abundance. And you cannot create abundance out of a sense of lack. You're trying to put a Band-Aid on someone else's wound when your own hand is bleeding. You are seeking to assist someone else with their wound when your hand itself is bleeding. I know I was trying to do this when Will was young. I was trying to be the best mom I could. I was trying to take care of him when my own soul was bleeding, when my own soul was dying on the vine, withering on the vine. And during this time of year, especially when there's so many expectations upon us, when the world and the outer world gets busier and more frenzied, it is so easy to move in to an experience of trying to be all things for all people, give all things to all people, make our kids happy, our friends happy, our mother-in-law happy, our sister-in-law happy, friends, family members, when we are not caring for ourselves, which is why I wanted to really do this episode at this particular time of the year. It's why the cliche is the cliche. Put our own oxygen mask on first. If literally a plane is going down, literally, you would put your own oxygen mask on first. You would, because you would literally have in your nervous system the awareness that you are really truly not going to be able to be of service to anyone else around you, especially your children, if you cannot get the oxygen that you need to literally survive. So it's a cliche for a reason. And the reason that we are not able and we do not carry that out in our day-to-day life when it is equally imperative is that we have been taught that it is selfish to do that. So in a quote emergency, we would all reach for the oxygen mask. But in day-to-day life, we are taught culturally, and we have been handed this down from generations, especially as women, especially as mothers, that it is selfish. There are very few, if any, mothers that I have met in our generation that saw their mothers caring for themselves first. And when we don't see this and it hasn't been modeled to us, we don't know what it looks like. We know it feels terrible when we're in a martyred state and we're in lack and we're impatient and we're frustrated and we're overwhelmed and exhausted. We know what that feels like, and it doesn't feel good, but it bumps up against this cultural message that it's selfish to take care of ourselves, and it feels so arrogant to take care of ourselves and have that state of overflowing well-being, because we're taught it's selfish to take the time to do the practices that bring us into that consciousness. But it is true that you can only most effectively give and provide and care for another only to the degree that you are healthy and thriving and overflowing with a sense of well-being. We can give to another only to the degree that our consciousness has risen. You cannot give to another individual in a higher state than your own consciousness is operating at. So it is imperative that we begin our generation right now, if you're a mom, if you're a woman listening, if you're a man listening, right now it's imperative, because no one else is going to come to our door and give us permission to live our best lives, to then most effectively help those around us, provide for and care for our children especially. So we need to be the first to give ourselves permission. I will tell you this, giving myself permission to live in a state of well-being and abundance and joy and well-being was the greatest gift I have given to my now 20-year-old son. The greatest gift I gave him was to give myself permission to mother him from a place of well-being and overflow and abundance and joy, and to give myself permission to take the time that it takes to live in that state, to do the practices that it takes. And it wasn't easy when he was young, not going to lie. I will tell you that now I have modeled that to him. He has experienced a mother who has been in a state of well-being and patient and not frustrated. And so has my husband, right? So even if you have no children, you are in relationships, either with a spouse, a partner, coworkers, a boss, your friends, your family members, your mother-in-law, your sister, your siblings, to the degree that you are willing to live in a state of overflowing well-being is to the degree that you have that energy to give and provide for those around you. So giving when you aren't experiencing well-being is codependence. Giving when you aren't experiencing your own well-being is martyrdom. So what are the signs of martyrdom? The signs of martyrdom is giving, but you're secretly expecting something in return. Maybe not so secretly. I know I have been that in my family before, where I'm giving, but I'm just waiting for the tables to be even. I'm keeping track of how much I have given versus how much has been returned to me. Sure sign of martyrdom. So a sign of martyrdom is giving, but secretly or not so secretly, looking for, expecting, wishing for something in return. Why? I have so much compassion if this is you. I have so much compassion for when it was me, because we're looking for it in return because we're not giving it to ourselves. And living in a state of well-being is a need. It's not just a desire. It's a need for all of us. So we look to another person to give it back to us if we aren't giving it to ourselves first. So another sign of martyrdom, if you are experiencing yourself with bitterness, with resentment. I have most certainly been that woman. I am giving, but I'm secretly resentful. And honestly, it's not such a secret, because I know that my husband and my son could feel it from me back in the day. I know it. You can have a smile on your face, but people read your energy. So if you are experiencing resentment, bitterness, frustration, measuring, keeping track of your giving, keeping track of what's coming back to you, if you are experiencing exhaustion, overwhelm, if you are giving in a way that depletes you, giving in a way that depletes you rather than enhances you, I will tell you that when you take responsibility for your own well-being, and when you are willing, and please hear me, for those of you who have young children, this is not easy. So I'm not sitting here saying, oh, it's so easy to execute, it's easy to practice. I'm simply saying that when we give ourselves permission to say, this is not only not selfish, it's the least selfish thing I can do. Because when I take responsibility for my well-being, then I'm not looking to you to provide for my well-being. I'm not looking to you to fill my needs. So if any of these are you, this episode is for you. So what is the conditioning that we have been indoctrinated into that creates a martyred state in the first place? We are the recipients of generations of overgivers, generations of women who have given to their own detriment, generations of women, generations of mothers who have given to their own detriment, generations of mothers who wear a badge that the more they do, the better they are. The more they do, the more worthy they are. Why is this so important for us to understand? Because generationally speaking, it has only been just a few generations ago that women have even been given the right in this country to vote. In this country, meaning America. Do you understand that there are many, many, many countries on planet Earth where women still, to this day, do not even have the equal right to vote? There are countries, including this one, where the minority of women are in places of power, positions of power. In governments, very few positions of power are given to women. So we have such a generational indoctrination that women are less than men. Women are less worthy than men. Women have less rights than men. And so we have been overcompensating for generations. We have been overlooking for our sense of worth and value. And so it is our time now to step into our worth and value, because as I said, no one is going to come give you that sense of worth. We women, we mothers right now need to take ownership of it and not wait for someone else to give it to us. I will stand and say so loudly to anyone, anywhere, anytime, that taking care of myself, providing myself a sense and an experience of well-being is the least selfish thing I can do. It is a gift to everyone around me. And if you want to call it selfish, great. I'll be the first person to say I'll be selfish, because I see that when I experience a state of well-being and I am willing to give myself exactly what it takes to enter that state, I see how much, quote, better I am for all those around me. So we are also taught not to follow our own intuition as women. We are taught to follow the rules, to be nice girls, to be nice women, to follow the rules, not to make conflict, not to create conflict. We are taught that being a part of something is more important than your own individual values. So at this time of year, especially around holiday time, we are taught don't make waves. We'll just eat what's put in front of us. Even as grown women, we will just eat what's put in front of us rather than, quote, make a fuss or follow our own values, follow our own intuitive desires, follow what matters to us. Also, an inability to set your own boundaries. We as women, we as mothers have really not been taught culturally that it's imperative to set our boundaries. It's imperative to have our own boundaries, to embody our own sense of self, and then to manifest and express our own sense of self. And when we are not able to set boundaries, and when we are not able to embody our own set of internal values, that is self-abandonment. So when you are unintentionally practicing self-abandonment, that is going to lead to frustration, bitterness, impatience, overwhelm, exhaustion, because it doesn't feel good to abandon ourselves. It feels good to be present for ourselves. So our own inability to follow our own value system in the midst of family and culture that has different values. And again, especially at this time of year, when there is so much consumerism and pressure and expectations upon us to act a certain way, to be a certain way during this time, it's going to clash with your own internal sets of needs. And when you are not fulfilling your own needs, you will ultimately experience self-abandonment, and self-abandonment will absolutely lead to exhaustion and frustration and impatience and showing up in a way that is not true to your own nature. It robs you of joy. It robs you of your own childlike wonder. It robs you of your own inner experience of abundance and prosperity and creativity and inspiration. And so specifically, what does martyrdom look like during this time of year? I alluded to food. During this time of year, there's lots of food, lots of family gatherings, lots of parties. Martyrdom at this time of year can look like being at a family gathering and really not wanting to eat particular food that is set out in front of you, but eating it anyway. Not following what it is and how it is that you want to eat, not following the relationship that you want to have with food. Same goes for alcohol. There's so much heightened alcohol consumption during this time of year. And it's very easy in social situations, people to just come up, I was just at a Thanksgiving gathering and someone was, just have one drink, just have a drink. And so, as I was saying before, as women, we're often taught, just don't create conflict, go with the flow, be nice, don't speak up. And so often we will do something that goes against our nature, goes against our inner calling, just to go with the flow, and we end up resenting ourselves, really. And so alcohol, food, sugary desserts, just giving ourselves permission to eat and be sober, if that is what you are seeking. If you're seeking to drink, so be it. This is about giving yourself permission to be true to yourself. So if any of this neighborhood of food, sugary, desserts, alcohol, if this is speaking to you, then before you go to family gatherings, when you know how your family is or what's going to be at different parties, then you get still with yourself and you give yourself the inner permission and you feel what it feels like inside of yourself to have your own boundaries and to be true to yourself. A simple no, thank you. No, thank you. And it isn't the words, the 3 words, no, thank you. It isn't the 3 words. It's the energy that rides under the words, because 2 different people can say no, thank you. I have done this 1,000 times where I'm saying no, thank you, but I have a conflicted energy underneath. And the other person is reading my conflicted energy. I'm saying no, thank you, but I really still want to be accepted by you. And so then the person will push again. Oh, come on, just one drink or just a slice of pie. It's not going to kill you, right? Because my own inner energy was conflicted in the first place. So get clear, because another person can say the same 3 words, no, thank you. And it's in alignment with the energy. You can always read someone's energy that is in alignment when their energy matches their words. And when someone says no, thank you, and their energy matches their words, typically the person doesn't push back up against that boundary because it's clear. I said no, thank you. I actually mean no, thank you. It's cool if you disagree. It's cool if you judge me. It's cool if you criticize me, because I'm cool with my own choice. So before you even get to a gathering, get clear about your own choice and give yourself permission to abide in your own energy with your own choice, even in the midst of if someone else doesn't like it. This is also a time of year that materialism and consumerism is so heightened. And there is a certain prescription that most of us have been given. And the prescription is to give gifts. And especially where our children are concerned, spend a lot of money, give a lot of gifts, receive a lot of gifts. It's just so easy to get caught up and wrapped up into consumerism. And we don't even think about what is our relationship that we want to have with gifts, gift giving, gift receiving. So get clear on that. Get clear on that inside of yourself. And then it's about finding the courage to, and I'll get to that in a moment, is how, once you have your values, how to communicate and articulate that with all those around you. But for right now, we're just getting clear on food, desserts, alcohol, materialism, consumerism, gift giving, gift receiving. Get clear. What is it that you want to create in your home? What traditions do you want to create in your home? This will absolutely involve you having to look back at what traditions and how your family of origin handled the holidays. What needs did not get fulfilled within you? How is it that you have some incomplete or unprocessed energy, some unprocessed wounding or traumas around the holidays? The holidays can bring so much unhealed material up. Do yourself a favor and create some spaciousness early in the month before everything starts speeding up. Create some alone time, some contemplative time. Go for some walks, be out in nature. What are you bringing into your holiday season that is incomplete from your childhood? How is it that you can complete this for yourself so that you can create the traditions moving forward that are meaningful to you? This is something that can happen over years. I knew in my family that I wanted, of course, to be part of. I love this time of year. I love the celebrations. I love the consciousness of worthiness and divinity and the mysticism and the sheer joy and childlike wonder and the magic of the season. I love all of that. And I knew that my son would be raised in a very consumer, materialistic society. And I really wanted to navigate that well. So I spent a lot of time in contemplation of what was important to me, what was important to me. And then I talked to Jamie about it and we got united. And even if we wouldn't have been united, you don't have to be united with your partner. You just each have to be very self-expressed of what is important to you so that you can begin to express and manifest. And again, I'm going to be talking about that in a moment. Right now, we're still talking about what is your vision? What relationship do you want to have with the materialism and the consumerism of the time, of the culture, of this time of year, of society? If you live in 2023, you're going to be enmeshed with consumerism and materialism. You don't have to subscribe to it, but you have to be in a healthy relationship with it so that if you want to be free of it, if you want to be liberated from it, you want to get very clear inside of having a healthy relationship with it so that you feel empowered to partake or participate with as much or as little as interests you, so that again, you are true to yourself. And we spent time cultivating that over the years with Will, so that he grew up knowing A, that he's privileged, B, that he's part of a materialistic society, he's part of a consumer society, he is. And so how to be part of something and feel empowered in it so that gifts don't define him and a quantity of gifts have nothing to do with his sense of worth and his sense of belonging and his sense of self. And that is such an important investment to make in your family. It's not something that is one and done. It doesn't happen in a moment, in the blink of an eye, in the snap of a finger. It's something that is cultivated over time. And our children and we live in a materialistically driven culture and society. And so it's important over time to model to our children what a healthy relationship with a capitalistic society looks like and feels like. So it's imperative, it's incumbent upon us to come into a healthy relationship with the materialism and the consumerism of the culture within ourselves first, so that we can best model it to our children moving forward. So we've spoken so far about this particular time of year where food, sugar, desserts, alcohol, drinking, belonging, being part of is concerned, materialism, consumerism. Now, I also want to speak about specifically during this time of year, this can bring up a lot of grief, loneliness. You could be in the middle of a party and still feel so alone, so lonely. This time of year can bring up so much grief from the past, so much trauma within families come up during this time. So if you're looking not to martyr yourself during this time of year, but to truly experience a sense of well-being, it's really important that if you are feeling lonely, if you are feeling alone, if you're feeling angry and have unprocessed emotions and grief from your past, it's so important that you give yourself permission not to do your holiday season the way everybody else is doing their holiday season. I said this on last week's episode. I'll say it in every episode. If you are feeling lonely, if you are feeling disconnected, if you have tender, vulnerable feelings, if you have unprocessed emotions coming up from the past, please reach out to someone. Let them know what's going on with you. Let them know I don't seek to move through this holiday season inauthentically. This is what's going on for me. I could really use a shoulder. I could really use an ear. I could really use some time. I'm telling you that there are people around you that would love to give you of their time, because it also feels so good for those of us who might not be experiencing that to pay it forward. I have been that person where this time of year has been excruciatingly lonely for me. And now that I have moved through that and healed a lot of that, it would be my honor, my pleasure to pay that forward to someone who's moving through that particular process. There are those individuals in your life who would love to be there for you. Sometimes it takes reaching out, because loneliness can be such a silent killer inside. You can look at someone. I was that person where I always had a smile on my face. I was always the one so capable, so able, being all things for all people. If you looked at me and you looked at my life, you would not think that I was the lonely one. Because most often the person who's the loneliest, who's feeling the most alone, has the biggest smile on their face, is the one that's covering it up the best. And so just because someone in your orbit, in your world, is smiling doesn't mean that they're not feeling alone. So if that is you, often you need to be the one to reach out, and that can be a challenge. But please reach out, tag me on social media, call someone in your world. I promise you, there are individuals in your world that it would be healing for them to be there for you. So grief, aloneness, loneliness, reach out, connect. If there was ever a time of year to connect, it is this time of year. And then lastly, how much joy can you embody during this time of year? How much joy, how much magic, how much can you connect with the childlike wonder and awe within you? How much can you receive during this time of year? Because ultimately, this is a time of light. It is a time to connect and reconnect with your true nature. And your true nature is joy. It's magic. There is a childlike wonder and awe within you that is seeking for you to connect with it. There is a childlike wonder, awe within you that is just waiting to be released. So how much joy can you embody? How much light can you see in yourself? How much love can you see in yourself? How much wonder and creativity and inspiration? How much magic can you allow into your life? Besides magic, this is a very mystical time of year. All the different traditions and religions, whether you are, quote, religious or spiritual or not, all the different wisdom traditions have at their core that this is a time of year, not that we need one, but this is a time of year to tap into the mystical essence within you, the mystical essence that you are. And most of us grew up in families where the mystical nature within us was not seen, was not honored. And so this is a time of year, if there was ever a time of year, to see yourself as divine, to see that you are mystical in nature. You are multidimensional. You are a soul. You are a spiritual being. You are a light-filled being. You are a light being. And this is a time to be willing to connect with that part of you, that light-filled part of you that is just so eager and waiting and ready to be released. So how much joy can you embody? How much of the mystical nature that you are can you connect with? And how willing are you to experience joy, even if those around you feel more comfortable complaining, feel more comfortable martyring themselves? How much joy are you willing to experience, even if those around you are more comfortable complaining and martyring themselves? Because martyrs like company. When I was martyring myself, it was very comfortable to talk to other moms who were martyring themselves. Someone needs to be the first one in your circle. Say, no, not anymore. This is not meant for us. We are not meant to martyr ourselves, especially during the season. We are not meant to martyr ourselves ever, but we are certainly not meant to martyr ourselves during this time. So what is the medicine for martyrdom? The medicine for martyrdom is moving into a consciousness of abundance. Martyrs live in a consciousness of lack. There isn't enough for me to take care of myself and for you to take care of yourself. There isn't enough. That's a consciousness of lack. There isn't enough for me to take care of myself and to know that you can be taken care of as well. We are taught that it's an either or. Either I take care of myself or my child. Either I take care of myself or I take care of my child. I'm telling you that the consciousness of abundance, I'm telling you that there is more than enough for you to be fully cared for and for your children to be fully cared for. And in fact, the better you take care of yourself, the more you have to offer all those around you. So the medicine for martyrdom is moving from a state of lack to a state of abundance. It's a way of taking responsibility to live your own life, to create your own life according to your own values, to create your own life in accordance to your own inner plan, your own inner design, your own inner nature, to be true to yourself. I promise you, you cannot live being true to yourself and live in a martyred state at the same time, because a martyred state is a state of self-abandonment. And when you are being true to yourself, you're not living in a state of self-abandonment. When you are being true to yourself, you are living in a state of self-abundance and self-support. And when you are living in that state of abundance and you have the courage to speak up and to express your own needs, you will be living more and more and more in a state of joy, because it feels good to be true to yourself. So you can always tell in your nervous system, when you are martyring yourself, it feels like that state of self-abandonment. It feels like you're not being true to yourself. And when you are being true to yourself, it feels good in your nervous system. It feels good. You exhale, you move into that flow. You're in a flow state. And when you're in a flow state, you can't be simultaneously in a martyred state. So you just take baby steps. You support yourself. You become present for yourself. You become willing to do whatever it takes to create an inner sense of well-being. Even if someone else calls you selfish, you just tag me and I will write you right back that it's the most selfless thing that you can do. Also, the medicine for martyrdom is your own willingness to experience unabashed joy, apologetic joy, unapologetic well-being, unapologetic bliss, and childlike wonder and awe. It's a willingness to know that there is magic in your life and the willingness to express that and to live from that place. It's a willingness to know that you're a mystical spiritual being, and a willingness to just open the door for a little more of that to find its way into your holiday season. This doesn't have to be a big dramatic all or nothing. This can be incremental baby steps. Just open a doorway for a little more of the mystical, a little more of the spiritual, a little more of your soul to show up in your family this year. I know that it's such a good feeling, and all those around you are really waiting for someone to be the first one to say, there's something deeper here. There's something magical. There's something mystical. There's something divine. There's something about worthiness here. There are deeper experiences to be had than the simple, and there's nothing wrong with giving of gifts, but the experiences of gift giving, when they are driven from the divine, from the mystical, from the magical, is a very different gift giving experience than a consumer driven gift giving experience. So when you open the door to the energy of the mystical, the energy of the magical, and being true to that, you open the door to intimacy and connection and collaboration. So how do we move from martyred energy to abundant energy? We cultivate collaboration. What do I mean by that? How do you cultivate collaboration? Cultivate cooperation. Cooperation is the antidote. Cooperation is the medicine for martyrdom. It moves us from a state of either or. It moves us from a state of lack to a state of both and, to a state of abundance. And so when you are seeking cooperation, when everyone is in a cooperative state of energy, you can't have martyrdom and cooperation at the same time. Martyrdom is the experience of swimming upstream. Cooperation is the spirit of swimming with the current. So when we are seeking to create a consciousness and an environment and an atmosphere in our family and our homes of cooperation, there is one question to ask. It's the magic question of cooperation. And that question is, how can we make this work for all of us? So when you take the time to become clear on the type of holiday season that you are seeking, what is meaningful to you, what matters to you, when you take the time to become clear about that, and then you want to communicate it, articulate it to everyone else in your home, you first ask for a gathering. Let's sit down. This may be a one-time conversation. It could be a conversation over the next week, over the next 3 weeks. It could be a series of conversations, but you open it up and you say, I'd like to share with everyone what my vision of an amazing holiday season would look like. I want to share it with you guys. And then I want to listen. And I want you guys to each go around and share with me your vision of the holidays. And then after you've gone around and listened to everyone, and everyone has had a turn to express themselves, you say, okay, how can we make this work for everyone? And that might take 10 minutes to figure out. It may take 10 days to figure out. It may take the next 10 years to figure out. But asking the question, how can we make this work for everyone, is a very inclusive, cooperative inducing question, because what it says to everyone is that everyone's vision matters. And so, of course, your younger kids or maybe your teenagers, of course, they've been indoctrinated into culture. So of course, they're going to be giving you answers like, I want this gift and this gift and this gift and this gift. That's what they've been indoctrinated into. Expect that. Allow that. Let that be expressed. Don't push back against it. Say, wow, I really hear that you have a really long list of gifts. I hear that. That's really cool. You've been giving a lot of thought to what you want to receive from Christmas or in the holidays. Cool. So you give everyone time and space to be fully self-expressed, and you simply listen And you don't need to come up with a plan in that conversation. You say, cool, let's everybody leave and think about it. I heard what is important to you guys. You guys heard what's important to me. Let's everybody go away and say, how can we make this work for everybody? You know, it's really important for mom to have downtime. Mom likes more experiences. You know, kids like more of this. How can we make this work for everybody? And then you come back. We used to do this at dinner table or at night after dinner. We'd all just go around the table. We used to have this ritual where all during the year, we'd write on little scraps of paper what we're grateful for at dinner time. We'd put one thing that we're grateful for or one experience from the year or from that week that was really fun for us. And we'd put it into this mason jar or this big bowl. And then we'd mix it all up. And around the holidays, we'd be pulling them out. Oh, remember that time we went to the park, or remember that time we went apple picking, remember that time we went skiing. And so you start off with something like that, that's collaborative, that's cooperative. And then you just move into, okay, so we all shared yesterday how we each see the holidays. What ideas do we have for how to make it work for everyone? And when you're not in a rush to get to the end result and the plan, when you take delight in the process, I promise you, your kids, your spouse, your friends, I've done this with friends where it's like, okay, what kind of Christmas do we want to have this year? And my girlfriends, about, I guess, 5 or 6 years ago, my girlfriends and I, we all decided not to give each other gifts anymore. We all just decided we have everything we need. And so now we give each other experiences, and we go on trips together, and we go to yoga together, and we have lunches and teas together, and we go to massages and spas together. We go to the beach together. We do experiences together because time with each other is more valuable to us than the materialism. So you can create whatever you want with those around you. And the greatest question to ask is, how can we make this work for everyone? Because that question alone, even before you answer the question alone will move everyone from a state of lack to a state of abundance, because implicit in the question, how can we make this work for everyone? Implicit in that question is the response that, oh, there's many ways for this to work for everyone. And we're just exploring all of their different ways. And even if everyone doesn't get their way, it's a practice. It's a way of life. So I hope that this has been informative, given you lots of creative ideas. Remember, martyrdom is giving to your own detriment, overgiving when your own tank is empty. Some of the signs: you're resentful, you're exhausted, you're overwhelmed, you're keeping track of who's given back to you. What is the medicine? The medicine is that you're seeking to move from lack to abundance. You're giving yourself permission to have your own values, to be true to your own vision of this holiday season. And then you are learning to ask the question, how can we make this work for all of us? So ask that question, how can we make this work for all of us? And please tag me with your responses. Tag me with how it's going in your family. What's the process? How are you growing? How are you evolving? How are you transforming? Simply by allowing yourself to ask that question to those around you. So much love, everyone. Give yourself permission to thrive this week. Tag me and let me know how it goes. I hope you had so many takeaways today. I hope you will be contemplating and practicing, and especially practicing that question, how can we make this work for everyone? And for those of you listening in real time, remember, I'm offering a free soul care masterclass to create the holidays of your dreams, the holiday season that is true to you, to release that which no longer serves you, to call in and birth and rebirth yourself into the new. December 15th. The link is in the show notes. Even if you can't make it live, you will receive the replay. So sign up. In that free masterclass, I'm going to be talking about my soul care coaching certification program that starts in January 2024. It is the deepest transformational dive you will take in your life, bar none. I promise you, because it is the combination of spirituality and psychology. It is the marrying of the best of psychological tools and the best of spiritual teachings. And it will take you on a deep dive to transform yourself. That will allow you to show up in your life like never before, to create intimate, connected relationships with your children, your spouses. And if you are already a coach or a therapist, or you're even thinking about becoming one, it will provide you mastery and excellence in the field of spiritual psychology. That is a new emerging field that is expansive, holistic, and will provide you a mastery in the future of healing. So much love, everyone. I hope to see you all on the 15th at the free masterclass. Link is in the show notes, and I'll see you next week. Much love, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If there was something in this conversation that spoke to you, we'd so appreciate it if you would take the time to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share this episode with women and mothers you know, because you are here to thrive. See you next time.